Steve Baker is an investigative journalist for Blaze Media, and he was on the show earlier this week, but only by phone. And that was for a reason. So today, he finally joins us by a video call. So Steve, tell everyone what you've been doing in Chicago this week, because we've been waiting all week to hear these stories.
Jill, it's finally exciting to be able to talk about it without trying to hide my identity and hide behind our cover. We were embedded with one of our friendly organizations, Friendly to the Blaze, and we were basically on a fact-finding operation. We were in one of the hotels that was greatly populated by delegates. I mean, literally, when I say hundreds or maybe even thousands. This is a hotel with 1,600 rooms, and obviously it was mostly booked by the DNC delegates, congressional members, senators, governors, all types of politicians within the Democratic Party machine. And what we were doing was essentially looking for a way to, basically enter into conversation without being confrontational, and to find a way to get as much information from the inside as we could about what their thoughts were, what their hopes are, what their anticipations are for this upcoming election season. And I think we were very successful in so doing. And it was good. A lot of people were worried that I would be recognized in this, but the reality is I don't think that the average DNC delegate maybe watches or listens to Blaze. I did have a couple of people that recognized me. They said, I know you from somewhere. Where is that? But then part of my story is that, of course, in real life, I am a musician. I said, you've probably seen me on stage somewhere before. So that was my primary cover.
Nice, Steve. Well, great to hear it. I hope we got our money's worth this week in Chicago. Sending you out there was a curveball and a very interesting project. Of course, Julio was there all week with the protests, which really didn't go as crazy, I think, as everyone thought, but they were real. Can you say a little bit more about the product at the end of this, like what we'll be seeing?
Yeah, I would say I'd like to start off by saying this. I didn't do this alone. If I've had a genius idea in my life to get people to break the ice and to talk to me openly and freely, one of the things that I did is I actually hired an actress and a model to come to Chicago with me. Gorgeous young lady. This is what she does for a living and has for her entire life. And she was able to, where I couldn't break the ice, she was easily able to break the ice. And not just with, men at the bar or in the lounge or something. Women loved talking to her. They loved talking about, because she's obviously an actress. And so it was our model. And so they loved talking makeup and getting the conversations going on a more casual and a more human basis. And then we were able to steer the conversations in other directions. Now, having said that, and I think I mentioned this on the phone on Wednesday, is that we're not going to be able to reveal one of these James O'Keefe or Project Veritas type moments because it just doesn't happen really with just basic political conversation. And here's why. It's because the speakers at the DNC are already saying all of the most radical things with their outside voices already. So when you're getting delegates and even politicians, people running for office right now, we talk to people that are lady that's running against Matt Gaetz in Florida. We talk to the chairman of the Senate Democratic floor, I forget what floor manager for Kentucky, politicians out of Tennessee, Pennsylvania. Those were the main delegations in the hotel where we were staying. And so we had a lot of conversations with quite a few important people within the Democratic Party, but we're not going to get those surprise, shocking statements because what's shocking anymore coming from them? They're as extreme as they can possibly be. The reality is that, and there's no other way to say it, if I had to give you an overall impression of all of the conversations we had this week, this is a party of people that are motivated by their feelings. They're motivated by an image and not by the numbers, the facts, the math. That's not how that's not how they're processing their own politics. It is a feelings-based party. It is the way they look. It is the way they feel. It is who they choose to sleep with, how they dress, what gender they decide to be. And it's all based on feelings, with, of course, obviously the overriding sacrament of abortion seems to be the largest driving factor for the Democratic machine. Of course, that seems to be that way every cycle, but it's particularly evident this time.
So, Steve, with all of those feelings in the air, we know that everybody was there for Kamala Harris and Tim Walz. Now, what were the feelings like of the people that you were actually interacting with? Were they really excited for Kamala Harris?
I'm going to tell you, last night, I watched Kamala Harris, her speech, her entire speech, every word in our hotel lobby. It's a gigantic old 150-year-old hotel with a wonderful gathering place and can accommodate several hundred people. And most of the delegates, of course, were at the arena, not there. But there was probably 100 people in the big lobby bar area. And we watched the speech there. People were cheering in the bar area. Wait staff would stop and just gush over her. They were cheering at the end of the speech. They cheered very much so. And then as the delegates were arriving, I mean, they were effusive. This was a feel-good moment for them, and there's no way of getting around that. And of course, the people that we talked to last night told us, many of them have been to several conventions, the DNC meetings, and they said it was the best speech they had ever seen. It's far surpassed anything that they've ever witnessed before. I saw, even in my own news feed on my social media account, some of my more liberal musician friends who were also gushing over this, saying that if ever there was a convention, a DNC that they would have gone to, they would have liked to have been there, because this is their moment in history, because they are excited about a woman of color finally becoming president of this country. Doesn't matter what the issues is, it seems it's more about the looks, the feelings, the packaging than it is the actual issues themselves.
Well, former FBI Director James Comey is drinking the Kamala Kool-Aid. He endorsed her for president on X, writing that Kamala Harris made me feel like it's finally morning in America. Everyone who cares about the rule of law, ironic, that's my interpretation, and America's indisposable role in the world should vote for Harris and Walz. I will. So, Steve, I'll ask you, do you think that this will help Harris win that deep state vote, or was she even really in trouble of it at all?
Well, Comey just exemplified what I was talking about moments ago, is that even for him, we're talking about, a former FBI director. He's talking about feelings over substance. He's talking about that vision that they have of some DEI wonderland that's going to sweep across this country, that we're all going to be swept up in this moment of diversity, equity, inclusion, and that somehow it's going to make all of our lives better. It's going to make inflation go away. It's going to make housing affordable. All of these things, which we of course know is absolutely untrue. But I have to tell you, when you have these conversations with these delegates, and by the way, when we were having these conversations, they were very friendly. They were never controversial. Even when I would ask hard questions and I would pose, because I was a Democrat, I was wearing a Kamala Harris lapel pin. And as I was having these conversations, the one thing that I was able to do was I was able to make an actual connection, a friendly connection, so much so that last night when people were coming back from the arena, they were literally looking for myself and the girl, Amy, the actress that I was with, and inviting us over, giving us hugs and taking photos with us. And then this morning, checking out of the hotel, we ran into people in the checkout. We ran into people in the lobby. We ran into people at the coffee shop there that wanted to take a photo with us, wanted to. I never exchanged any of my social media. That would be that would be a little dangerous. It would be shocking to them if I did that. But we developed what some would say would be friendships. It proves to me that you can still have a relationship with people on the other side like we used to. They're not all our enemies, but then again, we also weren't posing as who I really am. I was posing myself as an actor in the moment, sympathetic to their cause, sympathetic to their political views. And so I would imagine that if I had gotten confrontational, if I had put on a Trump pin, it would have been a completely different situation.